Welcome to our weekly Christ in Our Neighborhood conversation where Joyce and I reflect on Sunday's Gospel with Bishop John. Everything you need to do this with family and friends is on the Diocese of Phoenix website in the Christ in Our Neighborhood section. Welcome back, Bishop.
It's always great to see the two of you, and especially on this Good Shepherd Sunday. What a great day for us.
It's a wonderful day, and this week we're going to hear from the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verses 27 to 30. So, Bishop, would you like to start us off with a reflection?
Of course. Well, Good Shepherd Sunday is also the World Day of Prayer for Vocations. As we heard in the first reading, Paul and Barnabas went forth to proclaim the gospel to every nation. Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice." However, the shepherd's voice cannot be heard without the mouth of the church, especially from the lips of those who are called to vocations of consecrated religious life, priesthood, and marriage.
While the title of a parish priest is pastor or associate pastor, the call to shepherd in the manner of Christ belongs to all in authority within our church. Church authority includes and begins with Catholic parents with children. The proclamation of the gospel begins at home. The importance of parents as shepherds cannot be stressed enough.
There is also a call to pray specifically for priestly and religious vocations within the church. These kind of shepherds are sheep first, and they must follow the Good Shepherd with everything they've got. The promises and vows of celibacy, obedience, and spiritual poverty run against the grain of society. Those who respond to all or any of these rules of life need our prayers.
All right, so Bishop, what is the question for this week?
Well, how often do you pray for vocations within the church? I think that's a really important question because many of us might just assume we've got to just do our work to get vocations. But think about this. For almost 2,000 years, people have been kind of running against the grain and living celibate lives. And that's not an easy thing. And prayer, I believe, the older I get, prayer really is the way in which this can happen. How do you run against the grain? It's one thing for people to kind of take up their calling and to follow, but really it does take the entire church to pray and support and lift people up in that particular calling and also in the life of chastity and celibacy.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I looked at this question, how often do I pray for vocations in the church? I can honestly say every single day. But only since I started preparing for this conversation, which was about a week ago. Right. So I'm busted, totally busted right from my bishop. My face is trained red to match the jacket, but I need to do better with this. So I'm committing here, right now. You know, we pray for it pretty often at Mass. And when my kids were in Catholic grade school, it seemed like we were always adopting a seminarian and praying for them. I remember my little tiny 2 and 3-year-old kids, they would learn the name. And we would pray for whatever seminarian it was. And then I remember going to one of the ordinations and receiving a blessing from that priest. It was Father Scott Sperry who passed away. Yeah, and my little boy, Father Scott Sperry, we would pray for him. He's gone on, to glory. But I want to do a better job. And I think having the seminarians here working in the DPC with us, Bishop, is a brilliant idea. Getting to know them, and so that we can remember to pray for them more regularly, daily. I'm committing right now.
Good for you.
Well, I am also busted. I do pray for vocations differently. So I pray for our bishops. I pray for a handful of I call them my favorite priests, or the kind of the priests that I've spiritually adopted, those who I have a connection with. I'll pray for those particular priests or certain seminarians. And I definitely pray for single people that I know and my children and their future spouses. So I do pray for vocations, but not specifically for vocations to the priesthood and religious life. And like you, Joyce, I'm making a commitment. Let's go.
Go for it.
You got this on film. All right. Yeah. So, Bishop, what is this week's task?
Well, this gets to the question of how should we pray for vocations. So I recommend be a pest for vocations, P-E-S-T acronym. If you see a person in church who may have a vocation, begin with P. Pray. Pray for him or her. Don't just pray generically, but pray specifically for a person. You go, that person might be a priest or a sister. Encourage him. That's the E, right? Encourage him or her to consider a vocation in the church. And then S, support him or her if they should enter the seminary or a convent, sending them a nice card, again, letting them know that you're praying for them and offering them that support. And then finally, whether or not that person ever continues in the seminary or even enters the seminary or the convent, simply start with a T, thank God for the person you have encouraged.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Bishop. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Bishop.
For more information on Christ in Our Neighborhood and resources to start your own group, visit the Christ in Our Neighborhood section at the Diocese of Phoenix website.